Our guest tonight is an actor who plays Johnny Cash in the new film, A Complete Unknown.
Couldn't sleep. Just took a drive. Saw the ocean.
Okay.
This yours?
Yeah. Amy, you got a cigarette?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Get out of your way. The guy I knew in the Air Force had a Triumph. Gotta prime it up. Oh, shit.
Please welcome Boyd Holbrook.
Thank you for having me.
Of course.
Thank you.
Just in watching that scene, a convincing drunk.
Right.
Yes, you're both Johnny Cash and an inebriated Johnny Cash in that specific scene. How do you prepare? Do you go method in a drunk scene?
Yeah, you definitely want to go method for a 12-hour shoot.
I was gonna say
it's really hard to keep that up.
Yeah, what do you do in that? I've heard detail. Sometimes they say you pretend not to be drunk, and that's how you become drunk or look drunk.
Yeah, well, Ray Liotta used to say you should just have your head stand upside down for, a minute or two, but really it's just about playing. It's just about finding your way around the set.
Yeah.
And trying to, crash into things.
Just trying to bump into things. And literally, they let you do this with a car.
That's right, yeah.
So you play Johnny Cash, which is a tough thing to do. An iconic character in American history. But James Mangold, who directed this, also directed Walk the Line.
Yeah.
Famously, Joaquin Phoenix played Johnny Cash. So you're walking into you got a lot of
Big
tripwires.
shoes to fill.
Big
yeah.
shoes to fill. Did you guys discuss how your Johnny Cash would be different than Johnny Cash, or how is there an MCU metaverse separate thing going on here?
Well, I probably wouldn't have touched this role if it wasn't for James Mangold. He, as you said, he made Walk the Line.
Yeah.
And very big shoes to fill playing Johnny Cash after Joaquin Phoenix. But, it was in the research that James had done with Bob, found out they were pen pals. And they'd written all these letters back and forth to each other. Johnny had reached out to him in the beginning.
Yeah.
So I saw the importance of Johnny and Bob's life at that time.
Yeah.
And I've worked with Jim 2 previous times, and it's just the best working experience I've ever had. So it was definitely a leap of faith to go there. But yeah, he's the captain.
Now the letters are fascinating because they truly are. They show a personal side to Cash, and that kind of they lived isolated lives in their own fame, but were able to sort of reach out and talk to one another. Did you see those letters? Did you work off of those letters? I know they show up in the film. The film seems very honest to that part of the history.
Yeah, I reread them on the way over here, and they're written on the back of airplane sickness bags, and really just two guys at the epic of fame.
Without stationery.
Yeah.
Yeah. Isn't that such a comment on
No
fame? You can get
spell check.
so famous, but you can't afford stationery, and you're at the top of your game at this time.
Yeah, there was no spell check or autocorrect at that time.
No. Well, this film takes a lot of efforts to be honest to the time period, and a lot of nerds, Dylanologists, go over little bits and pieces of this movie, call out things, and this movie takes good care. And as somebody who's definitely not a Dylanologist or a weird nerd like this, I had a question about the bugles that you used in that scene.
Yeah.
There's a moment in that drunk scene where you're holding bugles and you offer them to Bob Dylan.
Right.
And a nerdy Dylanologist might point out the fact that bugles weren't nationally around in 1964, let alone in Newport, Rhode Island. And I wonder if that was a choice that you were making with
You totally got us on that one. It was the Doritos of the era.
Yeah,
Yeah, Jim has this great way of just finding these little moments in films. And if you come in prepared, we can, have the Coke bottle flying off the car. We can create a prop in the car. It's just really coming up with those ideas.
But why bugles? Why the bugles?
Because I think they're so. What are they? They're not in modern day, I guess.
Well, I mean, you can get bugles. My mom puts bugles in Chex Mix, which is a real good hack for anybody out there at home. Is it a musical reference because the bugle itself is musical and it's as if Johnny Cash is passing the torch, the musical, the conch shell of the music?
I didn't want to spell it out for you.
Okay, good.
Much,
Okay.
You kind of painted me into a corner, so
I'm glad. Leave a little bit of mystery out there as well, right?
Yeah.
Do you like creating a character based on somebody that already exists, or do you like the idea of creating a character from scratch?
I've kind of made a living playing all these little small characters in these films, and I prefer character work, but when you play an iconic person like this, you do have some sort of a pocket to be in. You know, there's the iconic voice that you're making an impression of. There's the sound of him. And so I had 2 interviews that I just knew verbatim, and if I went out to my own speaking voice, I could always refer back to that. So it's almost like you're in a pocket of an E, or a certain, like a song is in C. So you just know where this character lies all the time.
Yeah. I'm curious what response you've gotten, because even just as an audience, people watch your performance, but they know what you're aiming at. They have a reference point for the attempt. In some ways, in watching your performance, it's sort of like watching you as a trapeze artist. We know what the pratfalls could be and what your goal is at the end, as opposed to watching a complete creation, a new creation, which we're sort of investing in the discovery of what you find. Have you noticed a different response from movies where you are portraying people who do exist that an audience watches?
Oh gosh, you know, my whole thing with a legendary person like this, you really just don't want to tarnish their image. And to take this on was a real challenge. But in difference of character to this character, I would say there was a lot of pressure in terms of that, of just taking them out of the movie. And I think that's really the important part of this. And you can really get lost in this film and taken back to the 60s of when all this iconic music was being made in such a pivotal time.
Yeah. I'm curious, because sort of embedded in this relationship are these two artists who sort of found a companionship through these weird times. Is there in your creative life, is there somebody else who's a Cash or a Dylan in your creative pursuit? Are you writing on the back of any kind of barf bags to anybody?
I'm not writing on the back of any airplane sickness bags. I have my own heroes that I look up to. Michael Shannon is a great actor. He's from Kentucky. He really inspired me to be an actor. Christian Bale threw me a bone and brought me onto a film early in my career. You know, I think it's sometimes you don't want to meet your heroes. Yeah, you know.
This must be awkward for you, then,
yes,
huh?
Yes, it is. It is strange.
Well, I hope I lived up to everything that was in your head.
It was truly an honor. Truly
and good
an
luck.
honor.
And when you get to play me in that biopic years down the line.
Could we get a pic after this?
We could totally get a pic. Yeah. We could totally get a pic, all right? But just let me know if you use bugle. I'll give you a little secret. For me, it's not bugles, okay? It's Fritos, okay? So yeah, just
I have some Sour Patches in my
Sour
pocket.
Patch? Don't it up. Don't up my mythology. The movie is truly wonderful. I loved it. Thank you very much. A Complete Unknown is in theaters now. Boyd Holbrook.